The sign of the sincerity of regret is the mellowness of the heart and the profusion of tears. It is said in a particular tradition, sit with the contrite, for their hearts are the most mellow. Ibn Abu ad-Dunya, from the saying of Abdullah ibn Abu An. A sign thereof is that instead of the sweetness of those sins, their bitterness seizes man's heart, and inclination turns into loathing, desire into aversion. It is stated in the Israelite tales that Allah Almighty said to one of his prophets who had asked him to accept the repentance of a certain man after he had strived in vain for years in worship. By my power and majesty, if the inhabitants of heaven and earth interceded, I would still not accept his repentance, for the sweetness of that sin, from which he repents, yet lurks in his heart. Saul was then asked about a man who repents and renounces a certain sin, but then it occurs to his heart, or he sees it or hears of it and finds sweetness in that vile sin. What is to be done in such a case? He replied, the feeling of sweetness pertains to his nature tab, and is not susceptible of change, such that a thing which is loved could become something detestable. However, the heart's determination can be coerced so that he can return to God, mighty and majestic is he, and place his dilemma before him. Then he should force on himself and on his heart a state of rejection, of that sin, which should never leave him. For if he becomes inattentive to that state of rejection for just the blinking of the eye, it is to be feared that he will not remain safe from it. You may argue, sins by nature are agreeable acts. How, then, can one find bitterness in them? In reply to that, let me say that one who eats honey containing poison, and does not discover it by taste, and relishes it, but afterwards falls ill, his illness and its pain progress, his hair falls out and his limbs are left paralyzed, should honey containing a like substance be set before him, even if he is in an extreme state of hunger and urge for sweetness, would his soul shun such honey or not? If you answer in the negative, such answer would be a denial of the evident and of experience. In ancient times there was a religious scholar who knew 400 bookcases of learning by heart and was also not lacking in works of obedience. The prophet of that era had to inform him at God's bidding, because you love the world, God will not accept one atom from you from your works. Then we will turn to whatever good deeds they did, reducing them to scattered dust. Al-Furqan verse 23, Quran 25, 23. Allah desires for you the hereafter. Surah Al-Anfal verse 67, Quran 8, 67. Have you seen he who has taken as his God his own desire, and Allah has sent him astray due to knowledge and has set a seal upon his hearing and his heart and put over his vision a veil? So who will guide him after Allah? Then will you not be reminded? Quran 45, 23. Have you seen the one who takes as his God his own desire? Then would you be responsible for him? Quran 25, 43. Muddy water cannot subsist in the airy heights unless the mud is shed and the water becomes vapor. In that transformation lies the magic of the divine mercy. This world is a prison for the believer. In the world the believer experiences torments and disappointments. Indeed, the commandments of God, exalted is He, are bitter, whereas the desire of the lower self is sweet.